You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Happy to be back here for another Monday morning of good old Rise and Shine Manitoba here on the network. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's looking cloudy out here in Winnipeg today, as of right now, as I'm looking out my window. So it should be interesting if we get rain. We'll be talking about, stuff related to rain with the Farm Report today, of course, with Harry Siemens joining us up first here on the show. And then later on in the show, we'll have Slayen Enzzo Cepeda of a CancerCare Manitoba Foundation joining us to talk about their bike ride that they'll be doing in August to Gimli to raise funds for cancer, as well as finishing off today's episode with Graeme's Opinion. Good old Graeme's Opinion. We'll have some NHL talk today. I'll reveal what I think could potentially happen with the Seattle Kraken Expansion Draft roster that they'll be picking. I believe it's on Wednesday. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's on Wednesday. And yeah, also where Jack Eichel could end up this offseason, this summer, as well as what juice is the best, orange or apple. Find out today on Rise and Shine Manitoba. But first, you know what it is, Manitoba. We're going to roll the intro, and that means it's time to rise and shine. And you know what? It's cloudy today right now. It looks like there's going to be rain. I'm a guy that loves hot weather in the summer, especially because honestly, living here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, or Manitoba in general, when are you going to get this hot weather, right? Only in summer. But due to just the drought of rain that we've been getting, it's affected farmers tremendously. And in the last week, we've gotten some rain, at least here in Winnipeg, from what I've seen, but not as much as you'd want at this time of year in terms of for farmers' sake. So we're going to be talking about agriculture today. Once again, of course, the Farm Report presented by Wolf Enterprises, and the man himself, the man of the Farm Report, Harry Siemens, joins me now on the show. Harry, it's been a week since we've last talked. How have things been going for you? What have you been up to? What's been keeping Harry Siemens busy during this past week?
Basically covering agriculture, but more specific, the drought. You know, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Somehow there's a delay. I'm here, but the drought is. I'm just going to have to get myself collected here. I'm getting a delay. But wait, I'm just gonna.
Okay, we'll go to a commercial break. We'll get Harry back in here in just a moment on Rise and Shine Manitoba. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. I'll be back with Harry in just a moment. Okay. We're going to go to our first commercial break. Stick with us. More Rise and Shine to come here on ASTV Productions. welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here. For some reason, there's some delay on Harry's side of things today. Not sure when he's coming back in here. I guess I'm going to have to ramble on and fill dead air. For the one viewer joining us right now, tuning into the show right now, as I should say, I want to know how was your weekend? How did your weekend treat you? If you're on your Facebook stream or on the Facebook stream, you can comment. Just for everyone watching, how was your weekend? You know, I had a chance to have some friends over, which was nice, of course, following social distance rules, the COVID guidelines, of course, as I should say. And yeah, it was a lot of fun getting to actually have some see some human faces again. And I think with the cases and stuff, how they're looking here in Manitoba, things are looking up right now for us with this COVID-19 pandemic, which is something that you wouldn't really have guessed, a while ago in 2020, as well as during the, when we shut down. I believe it was the second wave. Yeah, the second wave, when it was like that October to December range, leading into January. Yeah, I think things weren't looking good. And then even, in the months of like April and May, things just weren't looking great. But more people are getting vaccines now, right? Which is great. I went to get my second dose on Thursday. The side effects of that one were absolutely awful for me the next day. Ended up calling sick into my second job, which I have at my mom's wiring company, which is in the summertime not the best place to be working in terms of the heat because it is so hot. Yeah, but I wasn't feeling great. But great to finally have the second dose. Great to finally see things are starting to get back to normal, with us being able to see people in our households now, not only outside but in our households, which is great. And yeah, hopefully this keeps up and we keep seeing good things happening with the COVID-19 pandemic. But we're bringing in Harry Siemens now on the farm report. We'll roll the little graphic we got for him, the little clip here, of course, before we bring him in once again. The farm report brought to you by Wolf Enterprises. Hopefully the delay isn't there anymore. Harry, do we got a delay? Are we good? We ready to go?
Good morning.
Awesome. Good morning.
We're ready
Harry.
to go.
Awesome. So
Yes,
I'll read. Yeah.
Back to what I was doing, and basically I've been covering the fallout from the drought, because we do have a drought for many of the crops. It's already way beyond recovery of the hay, the feed for the cattle, and so forth. So the biggest challenge we have right now is to make sure we can get feed for the cattle, because we have livestock producers that have run out of feed, and there's no chance of them getting feed this year unless we get some heavy rains in August, September. So right now, we're challenging the Manitoba government to step out and to see what they can do to help the industry and to bring the grain producers. We have many grain crops that are deteriorated to the point where they only will yield feed. And if we can get the grain guy and the cattle guy together so that feed that may not be a grain crop can be taken to the cattle, then we can at least save our cattle herd. But it's a supply and demand situation. Initially, the one side was blaming the other side for gouging and so forth, but really it's the supply demand. And so we need to make sure we can get some money into the hands of livestock producers, because we're seeing sales. This weekend, we had livestock sales where farmers are selling their cattle lock, stock, and barrel because they just don't have feed to feed their cattle. So, and they don't know where it's going to come from, even throughout the winter. So that's what I've been busy with, and so we'll keep working on that one.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see what developments come out of that. Speaking about just the government and the possibility for them to help out farmers, what would a potential deal be in terms of just farmers and the government agreeing on a certain price of things? Just speak about what deal could go down
I spoke
from the
to
help of the government.
Yeah, I spoke to a cattle producer who's kind of been is voluntarily spearheading the efforts on behalf of cattle producers, and his name is Andre Stepler. He's right close to where I live, or about 30 minutes away at Miami, and he's a grain farmer and he's a cattle producer. So yesterday he told me basically what's needed are some interest-free loans, so that a cattle producer may have some money, because at this time of year, first of all, there's no income, but he wouldn't have to buy any feed. So with the situation, so if they can get some interest-free loans into the hands of livestock producers, so that when they go to a grain producer, they can pay what that grain producer wants. That's really all that this cattle producer was looking for. An interest-free loan for the time being, not a handout. We're not looking for cash. We're not looking for money other than an interest-free loan, and that can be done through the it used to be called the Manitoba Ag Services, the lending arm of the provincial government to agriculture. And so we need to see that happen. That's number one. And then number two, we need to be able to see how, when that feed becomes available, that we can take that feed to the cattle, or even better is to take the cattle to the feed. And because it's so hard. I mean, right now I talked to Tom Tightrope. He used to be the president of the Manitoba Beef Growers. He's from Langrooth, west of the lakes, and he's a large cattle producer, 400 cows and calves. That means 400 cow calf pairs. And so he says he was asked by another reporter on CJOB. He says, will you truck in the feed if the feed was available? No, he says, it's too expensive. It's just, it's so costly nowadays to haul in a big bale. First of all, you pay for the bale, then you haul for the trucking. And if it's anywhere from 200-300 miles, it becomes too costly. He says we really need to find a place where we can take the cattle to the feed. And but that's where government needs to help also coordinate some of that stuff, and to make it available and possible.
Speaking about, just animals beside cattle, cattle, obviously the animals that are suffering the most during this time. But could you speak about some of the other animals that, have been suffering? Has it been all animals, alongside the cattle?
Well, first of all, we have the two major sectors in animal agriculture are cattle and the beef cattle. We have beef cattle, and then we have the dairy cattle, and then we have pigs. Well, pigs are inside. They're well looked after, very well looked after, and so they take the feed to the pigs. But But the challenge for the pig producer is that because the feed is in short, then the prices also go up. So the margins start to thin out when the price of feed goes up and the price of the finished product is coming down a little bit. So that's a challenge for the hog producers, but there's no danger of those animals suffering in any way, shape, or form. Dairy cattle, we have probably, I don't know how many dairies we've got left in Manitoba, a couple of hundred. And so they need feed. And so they have to get out to feed. But the dairy producer, they have cash flow. They have a program that always gives them cash flow for their milk every month. So they can go out and buy that feed. The cattle producer is the one that's still independent, has no other programs. They have to go look for the feed and either bring that feed in, or, as Tom Tightrope tells me, take the cattle to that feed. So, the wild animals are looking for feed, I'm sure, but they can go wherever they want, I guess. And there are places where there is feed. For the livestock producer, it's just a bit of a more challenge, because you get a guy with 100 cows and 100 calves. That's 200 animals. and he has to see to it that he has feed not just for the next month, but for the next year. So there's a place in just north of Winnipeg called the Winnipeg Livestock Exchange. They're having a big sale coming up this next weekend, and it's cattle that should not be going for sale. It's cattle producers. You know, like you have this particular technology, that's a way to earn a living. A cattle producer has cows to make a living. A grain producer has land. When a cattle producer has to sell his cattle, he has no way of making any income whatsoever. So they have to go do something else.
Besides animals like cattle, both dairy and just cattle in general, as well as the drought, as well as the possibility of the government potentially helping farmers out. What are some of the other bigger, not bigger, but other storylines that you're keeping your eye on throughout the following upcoming months here in the summer?
Well, it all revolves right now. We're in the middle of July, or getting towards the third week of July, obviously. And so right now, farmers are getting their equipment ready to harvest. So that's what the farmer is doing now. I had a text from a good friend of mine, Russ Peters. He farms just north of Winkler. He says, Harry, we're going to be getting a combine ready because in 2 weeks our wheat is golden. He says the wheat is golden, and that means it's getting ready for harvest. So in 2 weeks they will be harvesting that crop. So that's my challenge right now. If it was a normal year, we wouldn't be talking about drought. We would be talking about farmers getting ready for the harvest and what will the crops do. Now we're talking about the harvest, but we're more concerned about what the crops won't do. So storylines, we have carbon tax. We got the federal government implementing carbon tax, which is giving us more and more cost at the farm level as far as taking away from the bottom line. So that's another storyline that's in the kind of the back burner. But, once we have a situation like we have now, then it's front and center. Like for many years, I have been a farm journalist, and it would go in 4 seasons. I would have January to April. January to April would be meeting month. That's where companies would have meetings. They would get ready to do spring seeding. Then April comes along, the meetings quit, and we get ready for spring seeding. So you got May seeding, June seeding, and then June the fairs would start. We had all the summer fairs. I went to every large and small summer fair in Manitoba. So that's what I would be doing in June, July, and then once that fair season comes to an end in August, that's when the harvest starts. So the harvest would go from August through October. And so at the end of October, November, December, that's when the annual meetings of the various grain companies and cooperatives would happen. So I had 4 seasons, and they would always change. I would always get tired of one, and then the next one would start. And so, it's really been that way for me for the last 51 years. I haven't been so specific on these seasons, but, we haven't been to meetings. I love to go to meetings. I like farming. That's where I get the chance to breathe the life of a farmer, right? I mean, I can go to the farm, but when farmers gather in a certain place, we can talk about different things, speakers. Well, I haven't got any meetings in sight, but I do have one, and that's in January 13th to the 11th to the 13th, and it's in Banff, and it's the annual pork seminar. And I've attended it for years, but I haven't for the last few years. But my plan is I've registered that I want to get to that live pork meeting in Banff, Alberta. And I don't ski, but I sure love the scenery. So that's kind of my next goal is to make sure I can get out to that meeting. So storylines, markets, we watch crops. We watch the costs of what it costs to do. I mean, these are all things that we now look at. So it's interesting how things revolve around certain aspects. I mean, right now, we actually got a little bit of rain. But just to sum up about the drought and the weather, see, we have lots of different areas that have had patches of rain, but the crop has been so far damaged. You know, the rain is good, and we appreciate every drop, but the heat that we've been having over the last 3 weeks, it's done the damage to the crop. So I talked to this Andre Stepler, the cattle producer. He actually lives at Miami. He went to St. Ambrose for the weekend. So he drove there. It's a couple of 100 kilometers. And he says, you know, it was like the jackpot hit here and nothing here. The jackpot meaning a good rainfall occurred here and a good crop. Half a mile down the road, the rain did not hit and there's no crop. So that's the kind of the scenario. So when we do see a little bit of rain, it's good, it's welcome, but it isn't really helping the long-term situation that we have. We need like 2 and 3, 4 inches of soaking rain across the province to replenish the dugouts, replenish the streams, replenish some of the rivers.
Yeah, and those storylines, like you said, the market, the harvest, just the drought, of course, is going to be the biggest stories moving forward. Some of them, at least, and yeah, it's going to be exciting for you come January to get a chance to go to Banff. Even though you're not a big skiing guy, but it'll be, like you said, sweet to go out there and see the scenery for sure. Well, we're going to leave it off with, of course, my favorite time of this segment. Of course, we got to let you go after, but it's always nice to know the tip of the week from you, Harry. It's Siemens Says, Harry Siemens, farming tip of the week for farmers here in Manitoba. Let's hear it.
You know, it's the biggest challenge, as I've said, is the drought. We need to make sure we work together as a total agricultural industry so that we can help each other to prolong whatever we need to prolong and save. And so that's my tip, is to work together, guys and gals. We're in this together. Some farmers have had lots of rain. Their crop is good. The next person has nothing. So we got to be careful that we really work together, feel for each other, and not put each other down. That's my tip of the week today, and that's Siemens Says.
Of course, always great to hear it on Siemens Says. Tip of the week from Harry Siemens here on the Farm Report. Harry, I'll talk to you next week, probably at the start of the show, maybe not, but sometime during that show, we'll have you on once again next week. It'll be awesome to hear some potential updates you might have, as well as some of the ongoing stories that we've been talking about. Great to hear from you again on this Monday morning, Harry. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Letting Harry Siemens go now, of course, the man on the Farm Report here. And coming up on Rise and Shine Manitoba, we're going to bring in the next 2 guests. It's going to take a while to bring them on because I forgot to send them the links. So we're going to take a commercial break. You might see the background screen for a bit while we sort this out. My bad for that, but don't worry, it'll be worth it. Rise and Shine Manitoba continues after this commercial break. Stick around.
Big Systems Beauty College is a little bit unique in respect to the way we teach our program. We don't do so much structure and learning and block teaching. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. If they can move faster, they do so. Therefore, learning everything earlier and getting more practice in all segments of hairstyling as opposed to just being stuck in one section for a certain period of time. So we try to accommodate all the different learning styles.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions. Going to take, I think, about like a couple minutes until Noah and Enzo come on, of course. I had them on as my first ever guest here of my time of doing Rise and Shine Manitoba, so it's going to be fun to reconnect with them and just see what they've been up to since the last time we've talked. Of course, diving more into the bike ride that they're doing coming up on Saturday, August 21st. Phenomenal thing that CancerCare Manitoba Foundation is doing. Well, them specifically, since they're independent. And yeah, these two are on the same screen today. They joined me last time on two separate screens. Here they are now. It's Noah Slayen and Enzzo Cepeda. Boys, it's been a while. How are you doing on this Monday morning?
We're doing great. We're at a summer camp for the summer. We're loving it and getting pumped for the bike ride. Pumped to be on your show, and
yeah, that's great. You guys have been able to be at summer camp. You told me about that about a week ago. Noah, for you and Enzo, how's that experience been of just getting to experience being at summer camp?
I mean, it's honestly a huge privilege that we can get to be here. We're in Ontario and Lake of the Woods, so we get to be close to nature and all that. Get to do some nice going around the island, like we go paddling and all that, and we also take care of kids, which is really nice. It's very rewarding, but I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, the rewards are there with taking care of kids. You get to get some exercise, get to be out at a beautiful place and lake in the woods or lake of the woods, and there's no better way to spend your summer for sure. What is this camp exactly? What's it run through?
it's called B'nai B'rith Camp. It's an island called Town Island, and it's a nonprofit. And we're running a normal second session this summer. It's really nice with COVID. We're really lucky, and it's a big overnight camp. So every age group goes on a long overnight, and there's even a 4-week overnight, which some of our friends are taking out right now. And lots of competitions, lots of programs, lots of kayaking, canoeing, ropes course, waterfront. It's awesome. It's awesome out here.
Yeah, that's great. Just so many fun activities, it seems like, and like I said, you get to spend it in nature, which is great. Is this your guys' first year doing this, or have you guys done camps like this before?
So it's my 4th year being staff for this camp, and Noah used to go to a different camp in Gimli, and now we finally got him to switch to our camp. So it's his first year this year, staff.
Right on. Got him to switch over to the good side, right? That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. So we're gonna move away from that. We're gonna move into just the bike ride. Still scheduled for August 21st. So Saturday of that month. Is that date going to change, you guys think, with just the way things have been going with COVID-19 and the cases have been dropping, or would you say that August 21st is still going to be that day that you guys decide to ride?
Yeah, I think we're 99.99% sure it's going to run then. You never know what can happen if there's a 4th wave, but yeah, we're very, very optimistic, and all signs are pointing towards the bike ride being a go-ahead on the 21st. And
for sure. Yeah, no doubt about that. I bet you guys are super excited. Something that you guys should be very proud about. Over $2,300 raised until this point, 92% of the goal. You guys told me last time that you guys raised $6,400 last time. Of course, that number is raised exponentially this year. Just the feeling to see it grow to the point where it's at this year. Just how much pride does that bring you and Enzo, Noah?
It brings tons of pride to us. We never, in our wildest dreams, thought we'd be able to do this. We never thought we'd have 25 people that wanted to do this, and even more that we'd have to reject for this year. It's surreal and it's incredible. It's a great feeling to know that we can actually make a difference with being so young, being inexperienced, and everything. Everybody has the ability to make a difference. And we're hoping we're not done yet. There's going to be a final push. We're going to get over 30K, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be unreal to see 30K, see that number hit for sure. And for you guys this year, you guys got a bigger team. It was only you two last year that did this, right? Two guys, four wheels was what you came up with the name. Could we dive into that name? How that came to be? Two guys, four wheels.
It's a really funny. On top of that, it's a really funny story. But we thought of the simplest thing to do, right? With match with the logo and all that. So like, oh, we're two guys. Oh, we're riding bikes. That's four wheels. Thought it was a great idea. But on the way back, so my bike literally popped the actual tire.
Wow.
So we turned to two guys, six wheels. But I mean, couldn't change it after that. Now that we couldn't do two guys, four wheels because it would be 25 people, 50 wheels. It sounds kind of weird. So we chosen Cycle of Life because it just sounds right. Sounds right.
Yeah, I love the name. It just seems like it fits, right? Cycle of Life, and just you guys are giving people opportunity for life with just raising this type of money. With the help that you've had, which has just been phenomenal to see. Just the goals that you guys have set for yourselves and the goals that you guys have smashed so far. Just talking about how excited you are to see the potential turnout this year with just the COVID restrictions lifting more and more here in Manitoba, seeming like we're getting more and more back to normal as the weeks pass here, as the months pass. Could you just speak about how many people at this point are signed up to be participating in total on the bike ride?
So sorry about the noise, by the way. We picked a bad spot. Can you still hear us okay?
Yeah.
Okay. There are 25 of us, 25 riders, and then we also have tons of volunteers helping us out along the way. People driving with us up and down, people helping with check stops, people making us food, the hotel accommodating us. So it's really a big team that's helping us. And we had more than 25 riders want to sign up. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID and because we're at camp, we decided to cap it at 25. Next year, we're hoping for 100 riders.
Yeah, that'd be insane to see this grow in a matter of, 2 years under your belt after you get it done this year. To see it grow to that number would be absolutely insane. Just talking about the experience that you guys had last year of running this by yourself, just having a team around you this year. How excited are you for the opportunity to show your leadership in this aspect of things of on this bike ride?
I would say it honestly makes things easier for us in the bike ride itself, not the actual planning, because you have so many people to rely on. Because I would say a lot of this bike ride is a mental thing, and when it was just Noah and I, we were both absolutely destroyed. Like, how are we gonna bring each other up if we were both our muscles were destroyed, our head was just like, oh, I want to go to bed. So it's very nice to get 25 people there that they have a different array of how comfortable they are with doing this. And it's not only inspiring, but it's a sight to see that, like, that when you're in mile 60 and you think you can't bike anymore, you can go to someone and say, you can help me, and they'll be there for you.
That's phenomenal. And I'm sure that you two have been able to do some training. I know that you guys have been staying in shape with the rowing stuff that you've been doing at camp, but how's the training been for you boys in the last 2 months since the last time we've talked?
Unfortunately, at camp here, there's no bikes, no biking trail, so we haven't been biking. We get back to the city 4 days before the bike ride ish, so it's gonna be a grind. It's gonna be tough, but we know we can do it. And yeah, we're ready. We've been doing lots of other types of cardio here, but mind over matter. I think it'll be tough, of course, but we can do it.
Yeah, gotta have that belief, and you guys did it last year. What means you can't do it again, right? Even though you haven't had the access to bikes, it seems like you guys will be just fine, especially just with the amount of people that you guys got Just one thing that I found interesting is that you guys said you can ride both ways or just one. Just the decision behind that, obviously, I feel like that makes it more appealing for people to participate and to ride, just because like it would be great to go both ways, but I feel like just having it, you can go one way and not come back. On the way back is even more appealing. Do you guys feel like this is a good way to get more people involved with just including something like that?
I would definitely say it got a lot more people, because I would say probably 10 people when they signed up were thinking of only doing the way there. But then I remember sending a text saying, guys, you want to let me know if you want to go on the way back, you come back with us, or just go on the way there. All the people that we thought were only going to go one way decided to go on the way back. So it was interesting to see that people put the challenge for them. They're like, oh, if there are more people doing it, and I know those people, why not? Why can't I do it, right? So we got all 25 of the riders riding back now, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's great, and it's definitely, like I said, I feel like there's definitely more of that appeal with putting in something like that, because obviously, personally, I'd want to send it and go both ways, but for some people, they just want to go one way, right? Which is totally fine as long as they're participating and helping you guys out. One more thing before I let you guys go, just talking about the riders on your team, on the page you guys got on the CancerCare Manitoba Foundation page that you guys have this message up that I've been, taking notes off of. Just, you said that you can donate to any riders' fundraising efforts or to the team's efforts as a whole. Could you just speak about how huge that is to have that type of so many different resources of where to donate, not to just your guys' pages, but to the other riders?
Yeah, I think it's important that every rider is able to raise some money on their own. I think if there were just donations to the team, then lots of people would slack on the donating, and they wouldn't try as hard. They wouldn't contact everyone they know. We feel this way it motivates people to raise more money, and that's our entire goal: is trying to raise as much money as we can for CancerCare. So yeah,
well,
I think it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Of course, over 23,000, I should say, dollars raised so far. 92% of their goal has been hit so far. If you guys want to donate or share, we're going to put down a link in the description today of where you guys can do that for Noah and Enzo, and let me tell you, it's going to a great cause. So if you don't want to donate, absolutely share it if you can't give any money. But we're going to let you guys go. We'll be talking leading up to the race, or not the race, the bike ride. I'm sure maybe there will be a race, maybe some friendly competitions, but I can't wait to talk more about the ride coming up in August. I guess that's the next time I'd be able to talk to you guys leading up to it. So I'm going to let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your day at camp, boys. It's been fun with Noah, Slayen, and Enzzo Cepeda. Thanks so much for taking the time on this Monday. Yeah, no problem. Have a good one, boys. And that was, of course, Noah Slayen. Oh my goodness, Noah Slayen and Enzzo Cepeda joining the show today here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. We're going to take one more commercial break in today's episode. I'm going to be back with the segment Graeme's Opinion here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. You won't want to miss it. Stick around to find out what my opinion is on the things coming up here on Rise and Shine. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTB Productions. Of course, today I've been joined by Harry Siemens. We had him on the farm report, of course, the man himself, the legend, farm journalist, expertise as well. Just an expert overall. That guy's a beauty. And yeah, also had the two beauties from CancerCare Manitoba Foundation on in Noah Slayen and Enzzo Cepeda. And yeah, it's going to be awesome to see what type of money they can raise moving forward up until their bike ride, which is happening in August, on August 24th, on that Saturday. It's going to be awesome to see. Of course, we're going to put the link in the description of where you guys can donate if you want to. And of course, like I said, if you can't donate, might as well share it, or you should share it, because it is just it's a great cause for sure to potentially, get people involved into donating for sure for that great cause in their fight to raise money for cancer. But yeah, it's yeah, we're gonna move into Graeme's opinion now, I guess. Three topics today, two about the NHL, one which is going to be a little contest, I guess, about what juice is the best. But starting off with the NHL, just talking about Jack Eichel, the second overall pick from the 2015 NHL entry draft. Obviously not happy in Buffalo with how things have turned out. He's been clear on that to the media that he's been frustrated with that organization. And it seems like things just haven't been working out for Buffalo and Jack Eichel. More Buffalo, I'd say, because it's an absolute dumpster fire of an organization. I'm just going to put it as simple as it is. It's a dumpster fire. They don't really have any direction. And yeah, it's not surprising to see the players that come out like Taylor Hall, oh man, Ryan O'Reilly, I think, played there too. Just looking at these players that come out of Buffalo just to, go in and have more success in other places. Hall being a huge acquisition for the Bruins, the trade deadline this year. He did wonders for them. And yes, he was supposed to be playing with Eichel for the full year. Eichel got hurt. But, Buffalo just, it's a dumpster fire. I'm going to repeat it again. But yeah, if they do get rid of Eichel, they're going to have a chance to free up some cap. He's making a lot of money. And yeah, I'd say that Eichel probably goes to a big market. I heard that Minnesota could make a move for him. They're interested to push for him. That's something I read about. I'd love to see Minnesota. That would be unreal with him and Kaprizov or Kaprizov. And, it would be unreal to see, because this is a team that really turned it around this year, adding Jack Eichel. Man, it would be interesting to see what happens there. But I think he's going to go for a bit of a bigger market, even though Minnesota is a nice place. I've been there before. Mall of America. You got a lot of nice places there in Minnesota. But I'm thinking a bit of a bigger market. I'm thinking LA. They got the cap space to pull this off, and the prospects as well. I'm thinking adding in Kaliev, who is a young prospect with a heck of a shot. You add in a guy like Gabe Velarde as well, give them even more at that center position, as well as a first round pick for Jack Eichel I think would be a heck of a deal. You got a two-way centerman who has a chance to be franchise. You slide him into that top six with a guy like Kopitar, who's still there and shows he can still play. Your center depth would be unreal. You'd have Eichel and Kopi up the middle in that top six. Byfield, if he takes that next step, who knows? He could be in that top 9. And yeah, they got solid young talent around this team that could come up as well. A guy like Turcotte should be getting a spot in the lineup very soon. Experience on that D-core with a guy like Drew Doughty, who had a bit of a bounce back here this year. And yeah, I just feel like for LA, they're the team that it makes sense. Everything lines up for them to get Eichel. They have the cap space to do it. They have the most appealing prospects out of any of the big markets, in my opinion. One of the best prospect pools in the league, besides a team like maybe New York with what they could offer with their big market as well and their money. But yeah, I'm thinking LA. I'm thinking Kaliev, Velarde, and a first round pick for Jack Eichel would make sense. It would make sense because there's not enough room in the lineup for all these prospects. Might as well get a sure thing in Jack Eichel, who has franchise level potential at that center position. Has shown that he can be an elite player already. And yeah, I think that would be a great move for LA if they were able to pull that off. Now, let's look at this list I made. The Seattle draft expansion projected roster that I did. Found this on Cap Friendly. You guys can make your own, which is pretty cool. It has a list of all the unprotected players that you can pick from. Seattle can pick once from each team, so they'll have 30 picks in total. They need to pick one player from each team. That is a requirement. And yeah, we'll just pull it up right now. I'm just trying to find it. Trying to find my picks here. One sec. Odd, I can't find it. Let's see here. Share screen. Oh, I cannot share it. So, yeah, I guess I'll talk about some of the names. I can release this as well. I'll release it on my, I don't know if I'll release the list actually. Yeah, I'll release the list. But I'll just talk about some of the big names that I see going here, I guess. So, just up in the air if we'll release this list yet, but basically on our social media. But basically, what we got here is looking at their forwards. They're going to have $81.5 million in cap space to spend. Lots of players, some names that were left unprotected that could turn out huge for Seattle. Just looking at the forwards, I got them taken. Jakub Voracek, Vladimir Tarasenko, Max Domi, Yanni Gord, Josh Bailey, Paul Byron, Jared McCann. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the guy from Nashville, Kale Yarncroc, Connor Sheary, Matt Nieto, Morgan Geekie, Colin Blackwell, Carl Grunstrom, Josh Dixon, AJ Greer, Bobby Ryan, Tyler Steenbergen, and Evan Rodrigues, however you pronounce his name, from Pittsburgh. And then looking at just their decor that I got for them, and their goaltending as well. I got them taking Mark Giordano, Oscar Klefbom, Kevin Shattenkirk, my man Dylan DeMello. Sad to see him go. I think he'll get picked. Joshua Brown, Connor Clifton, Jacob McDonald, Madison Bowie, and Matt Irwin. And then in that, I got Bishop, Draker, and Andrew Hammond. So just looking at this list, there's a lot of potential with this team to do something in that first season if this pans out. Because look, you got a guy like Jakub Voracek, who has been in his prime at least one of the best playmakers in the NHL. He's coming off a solid season. This move to Seattle could be a motivator for him, and he could be in for a huge year. Vladdy Tarasenko, this guy has been traditionally a 30-plus goal scorer. Dealt with an injury. It was in it was this year he had his injury. I think he missed some time last year as well, but just that relationship in St. Louis, it's just water under the bridge at this point. Not water under the bridge, but it's just the relationship isn't there anymore. He's seems like he doesn't want to be there anymore, obviously waiving his no move. I think he waived his no move clause, but yeah, with them, no, I'm not sure, but they expose him, obviously. Seattle is going to be chomping at the bit to get a guy like that, because if Vladdy pans out with this team, even though he is at $7.5 million, that's going to work out pretty good for this team if he can get back to the type of level where he's putting up 30 goals, which I think he has that ability to if he has the right recovery and has the right offseason this year. But Max Domi is a guy who's going to be a UFA next season. Max Domi is a guy that's shown he could put up 70 points. He's a guy that I picked on this team because just the lack of their center depth that they could have in this draft, not many top end centers available. He was among one of them in this expansion draft just for the options given. Obviously, you got your guys like Ryan Johansson and Duchesne, which Seattle could be looking at as well. But, just in terms of where the money works out the best, I'd say that Max Domi fits into that piece of the puzzle. If he has a bad year this year, he's still going to have some trade value, right? If he ends up having a good season this year, that you could still be looking to trade him because he will be a UFA, and you could maybe get a nice little price for him. Yanni Gourde guy was very, very good for Tampa in their cup run this year, playing on that. I believe it was on the third line. And yeah, this guy will probably get first or second line minutes just because of the lack of center depth on this team. And, Yanni Gourde is that type of guy that fills a need at center for this team. It would be a great price for them to get him at about $5 million. Well, not a great price, not a terrific price, but definitely out of the options there, comparing him to guys like Duchesne and Johansson and the other options. I'd say that Gourde is probably the best bang for their buck for what they could get from Tampa. Josh Bailey, we know what he's about. Paul Byron gives you depth at that left winger position. Jared McCann had a phenomenal year with the Penguins for what he's put up in his career. And yeah, Yarncroc could have one of those seasons, could be one of those players. He had an okay season with the Preds. Him going to a new situation could be, very interesting for him. He's, 29 years old at this point, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, that's basically probably the biggest picks up front, I'd say, that I made. Let's go into our defenseman now. Yeah, just looking at it, Mark Giordano, you add a guy that's won a Norris, and even though he's kind of had a bit of a drop off, a new situation can do wonders for a guy. He's 37 years old. You're not tied to his contract for a lot of seasons. He's going to be a UFA in 2022, 2023. So next season. So if it doesn't pan out, you don't have to re-sign him. But if it works out, maybe you can sign him for another two seasons or another season, depending on how he does. Of course, Oscar Klefbom with missing time this season with an injury, being out for a whole year, that was definitely, I think, a blow to the Edmonton Oilers, especially in the playoffs. Getting him at just over $4 million, I think would be huge for this team. He's a defenseman that's top four defenseman, right? Then you got Kevin Shattenkirk, who can play in a top four role and has some Stanley Cup experience. You got a guy like Dylan DeMello, who has been maybe, if not the best defensive defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets, and has established himself he can play in a top four role. Then you got guys like, Masson Bowie, who, even though he hasn't really, shown greatly. Still is on the younger, not the younger side of things, I guess. 26 years old, but he's still a guy that could give you value in a trade if you really wanted to trade him for some picks. Connor Clifton is going to be that depth defenseman for this team. Joshua Brown could be a depth defenseman as well. Playing on that last pairing. Then you look at the goaltenders that I selected for them. Ben Bishop. I feel like Ben is gonna make that move to Seattle. I think they're gonna pick him. Him waiving his no move clause, I feel like is kind of telling. I'm pretty sure he waived his no move clause, but he's in the draft. Him coming off a year where he hasn't played, this is a guy who's shown that he can be a very good goaltender. I think that I was considering them taking Price. I think they should take Price because they could do that, but I just think they rather take Bishop's contract on than Price, just because of the simple fact that Price is at $10 million compared to Bishop making significantly less than that, and him being a solid goaltender. But yeah, then of course Chris Driedger and Aaron Hammond there. Driedger is a guy that they'll be able to sign for a nice amount of money. And Andrew Hammond is a guy that'll be in the system, or they could end up waiving him. Who knows? But yeah, overall, this team has a lot of good pieces at the wing. Their center depth throughout their choices of centers wasn't great. Guys like Yanni Gord and Domi are going to be expected to play in top line roles, which I don't really think is suited for them over the course of a season. So you could end up seeing them make a move, but it could pan out. It could pan out for them at that center position. I like their D if they go this way. You got that experience factor in there with a guy like Mark Giordano, who is a Norris winner. You got Clefbaum come back off of injury, who is proven he can play in a top 4 role. A guy like Dylan DeMello there to offer good defensive support for this team. And Kevin Shattenkirk, who's played in a top 4 role as well throughout his career, and is still serviceable in that, right? Obviously they can use some of their forwards that won't be in the lineup that they can be looking to use in a trade to get some draft picks and potentially get some other stuff too. But yeah, then you look at the goal. Ben Bishop has proven throughout his career that he is that guy. He is that number 1 guy. And yeah, that could be a huge season for him, as well as a guy like Driedger, who showed last season that he has some promise as well and could be a very good backup. So yeah, those are my picks of the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft, who I think that they'll select. Sorry I couldn't show you guys the full list, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We're going to now move into testing out some juices. I'll be right back. I'll go get the juices right now. Alrighty. So the AirPods back in here. I got 2 glasses. Couldn't find them the same size. One is a bit bigger than the other. This one's a bit thinner. This one's a bit thicker, wider. I guess that's the word. But yeah, I feel like this is always a debate. Which juice is better, orange or apple? I honestly could take either one. Really like both of them. This is President's Choice pulp free, sans pulp, or poop. Been a while since I've spoken French, so sorry I butchered that. But 100% orange juice or jus d'orange. There we go. There's some of the French coming back. 2.63 liters if you guys want to buy it. I don't know what the price is because my parents bought it since I still do live in their house. But yeah, then we got the good old Sunripe unsweetened pure apple juice, vitamin C added, 100% juice, not from concentrate. Honestly, don't even know what concentrate means, but yeah, I guess we'll break it down. Just the looks at first. Obviously, this is pure orange. This is a bit clear. It is clear. You can actually see through the cup a bit. And yeah, for this is, you can't see through it at all. But yeah, I'm not going to look through the sugar and the ingredients and stuff. Obviously, both of these are packed with natural sugar and stuff like that. But yeah, it's weird. When I was younger, apple juice would always give me stomach aches, and that's why I stopped drinking it. But I tried it again about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. Sometime in high school, tried it again, and ended up really liking it. I think in my grade 12 year, I started drinking it again. But yeah, that's when I went to orange juice after, mainly because apple juice gave my stomach fits. There's other juices too, like cranberry juice, lemonade, stuff like that. But for the purpose of this, orange juice versus apple juice, which one is better? Go alphabetically here and start off with apple. Yeah, I mean, it's a very sweet, I wouldn't say it's tart. It's sweet, like an apple taste. And yeah, it's funny. It's so funny me doing this because I really can't analyze drinks too in depth like apple juice and orange juice, because for me it's honestly what tastes better, what you prefer. A good thing for me with apple juice is that it doesn't make my mouth itchy. There's a fly down here, fruit fly or something, so that's disappointing. But yeah, just in terms of apples, if I eat an apple with a peel on it, my lip actually gets fat and gets itchy. But with apple juice, when I drink it, doesn't have that effect. So that's a bit odd. But yeah, sweet, appley, nice and cold, very good. Talking about orange juice, this definitely smells a bit tartar, tastes a bit tartar, or orange is tartar than some apples, obviously. Some apples are meant to be tart, right? But apple juice sweeter. I think this one's going to be less sweet. Let's see. Yeah, so you get that orange in there, obviously, since it's orange juice. It's got that sweet and tart combination. If I had to pick which one I prefer the most, I have to say apple juice. I don't know. Tart is nice sometimes with it being a bit sour, but I like that, just the straight up sweetness of apple juice. There's up there, yeah, no tartness. So if you like a bit of tartness, you like oranges, you'll love orange juice. If you're more on that sweeter side of things and you like apples or love apples, you'll enjoy apple juice. But if you hate both fruits, you won't enjoy any of these. But yeah, that's gonna do it for Graham's opinion here today on Rise and Shine Manitoba. We're going to sign off now. This is going to do it for today's edition of the show. Of course, special thanks to the guests in today's episode in Harry Siemens, Noah Slayen, and Enzzo Cepeda. Of course, Harry Siemens of the Farm Report, and Noah Slayen and Enzzo Cepeda of CancerCare Manitoba Foundation. Of course, I'll put the link to where you guys can donate and share the CancerCare Manitoba Foundation thing that Enzo and Noah have in their Instagram. And on their Cycle of Life page on Instagram. I'll put up their Cycle of Life page where you guys can follow them on that on Instagram, as well as their link to CancerCare Manitoba Foundation to where you guys can donate to this fundraiser leading up to their bike ride to Gimli. Of course, we'll be talking to Harry Siemens next week again about agriculture here in Manitoba. We're planning on having some other guests too. My bad on the small guest list this week. It was really the only guest that we could get. We're going to try to get more sports talk in here for sure moving forward next week. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth. You can catch the next edition of the show next Monday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, as we'll be live once again, as we are with every one of our shows. But until then, folks, have a wonderful rest of your Monday morning. Stay safe out there. Have a wonderful weekend. While we're at it, I'm going to wish you a wonderful weekend as well. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you again next Monday. Enjoy the day. Peace.